So that is how you train each of the engines for intent identification or FAQ identification. But as a developer, when you are training, and Scott, thanks for your uh, uh, appreciation of the training. Thanks a lot for that. Once you have trained as a developer, you have trained the bot, and you may feel that okay, I have done a very good work with training the bot. But once the bot is deployed, the bot might fail to understand the inputs that are coming from the users. So the best thing to do before you can deploy a bot to the end user is you need to test the bot, test the performance of the bot. So with the training that has been provided, how well the bot can identify intents or FAQs. And until you get a proper test output, so you are happy, the test output shows that okay, the training has been done quite well, then only you can go and you can deploy that particular bot. So how do we test the bot? With the training that we have provided to the NLP engine. So there are three tools over here which we can use for testing the training of the bot. One second, just let me check out what is happening. Okay, it's gone out. Okay, so let's see what are the different tools that are available on the bots platform. The first one is the training that we have provided to the ML engine, how good that training is. Okay, and to see that, we come to view ML model. So once you come to the natural language training section, so under the machine learning utterances, you get something called the view ML model. Click on this and it will show you a report on how well your ML utterances has been trained for each of the intents for which you have given these utterances. So here you can see the two tasks for which I have provided the utterances, open account and check balance, are displayed over here. And for each of the tasks, we have four quadrants over here: the true positive, the true negative, the false positive, and the false negative. Now, what do these four quadrants actually mean? True positives will show you all the utterances which has been trained for this task, and they are correctly identifying this task. Okay, so utterances in this quadrant were expected to match this intent and they did match. So they are the training utterances of this particular intent. So if you hover your mouse on any of these, you will see these are the three utterances with which I have trained this particular intent. Okay, so they are mapped in the true positive quadrant. Against that, you have diagonally opposite, you have another quadrant called the true negative quadrant, and this quadrant will show you all the utterances which are trained for other intents and they are correctly not identifying this intent. Okay, so an utterance which has been trained for check balance is not expected to match the open account task. Okay, so that utterance is mapped in the true negative quadrant of open account. So if you hover your mouse over here, you will see these are the two utterances which has been trained for the check balance task. Against that, so this is the best possible training that you can provide to the ML engine, where you see all the dots coming either in the true positive or coming in the true negative quadrant. There are two other quadrants over here, that is false positive and the false negative. False positive will show you all the utterances which has been trained for some other intent and they are incorrectly identifying this intent. This situation arises if there is overlapping utterances. So maybe the utterances with which you have trained this particular intent and the utterances with which you have trained this intent, they have words which are common amongst themselves. So in that case, these are known as overlapping utterances, and just because ML engine will identify an intent depending on the similarity of these words found, there is all possibility an utterance which has been trained for some other intent, just because it has words common with an utterance which has been trained for this intent, is incorrectly identifying this intent. that utterance will be mapped in the false negative quadrant of this intent. If you get to see any dots coming in the false positive quadrant, you have to immediately look into it why it is generating a false positive, because it's a very undesirable situation where an utterance which was meant for some other intent incorrectly identified this intent. So at all cost you should try to avoid a false positive. Against another quadrant that we have over here is false negative, and this will display all the utterances which has been trained for this intent only, but it fails to identify this intent. So those utterances will be mapped in the false negative. So utterances in this quadrant were expected to match this intent, but they did not. So if you see anything coming up in the false negative, or it is getting a very low score, typically it gets a very low score, then it comes in the false negative, you should try to improve on that utterance so that it can identify this particular task. So typically that is why we say all the ML utterances should have words which are very close to the name of the task. So idiomatic sentences and all, don't train it in the ML utterances because they can incorrectly identify a particular intent, or they can get a very low score because they don't have anything common with the name of the task. Okay, so that is why they can fall into the false negative section. So from here, what you can see from the ML model, how well you have trained your ML engine with the training utterances. And the main purpose why you should come over here and check it is that check if any of your training utterances is resulting in a false positive or a false negative. If you see dots over here, that means your training utterances needs a little more attention. You need to make some changes in those training utterances. Okay. Now that was with the ML engine and with defined utterances, some utterances with which you have already trained the ML engine. And we have seen from our clients when we evaluate their bots and all, we have seen if you do not put much attention in the training, most of the utterances either generate a false positive or they generate a false negative. Okay, so if you randomly just without thinking train the ML engine, the ML engine can generate a awful lot of false positive and false negative. So be careful when you are training the ML engine.